Man, we here, y'all. We is here. I don't know. Alright, so you see the topic, you see the thumbnail. OnlyFans. It's over for you. Yeah, your pimp done died. See what Osborne talking about. Bring it out.
The OnlyFans empire is collapsing? Oh, really?
Well, about time.
Oh, really? Why am I not surprised?
Hey, should I turn this light on?
Currently, the media space has been dominated by how much some top earners are making on. But what hasn't really been discussed is how the company has lost billions of dollars in valuation in a very short amount of time. And things just got even more messy because is now in a very bad situation after the CEO passed away. So essentially, you have one of the biggest platforms in the world, especially when it comes to that profitability per employee.
Oh my! OnlyFans is possibly the most revenue efficient company in the world.
And you can Google this.
And no one even comes close.
You can chat GPT this.
Give me a minute before I'm.
You can this is a fact. I did this on my own today. Not saying I ain't believe him, but I did this on my own today. I use Gemini. No lie though, y'all. It blew every other company in the world out the water.
Ready for this. I gotta use the bathroom.
That's a fact, y'all.
That's a lot of fucking money. God damn.
That's a fact.
All right. Relax. Calm down.
That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact.
I wonder why it's so revenue efficient. Who could guess?
Employee metric that you've probably seen online. And like, they just lost the one person running it. And almost nobody knew who he really was and that he existed. So the dude never gave interviews. There's really no real footage of him online. And one of the only pictures of him online was the one from his LinkedIn that had no ties to the platform whatsoever. So that's a little bit interesting. But for years, he was quietly making billions running one of the most controversial platforms on the internet. But then, in just the last month, he passed away and left the entire business in limbo. So, I mean, to catch everyone up to speed here,
I disagree with that. I think that there was probably a plan. The guy had terminal cancer. He knew that he was. He knew he was crashing out. He knew it.
You got a plan.
He probably locked this in a long time ago. Like, the people that were running it knew this was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
He knew.
He knew he was going to leave.
Created in 2016 by a guy named Tim Stokely. He was the youngest kid in a family from Essex, England. And he spent years trying to launch internet business after internet business and had a whole lot of failures. And the guy burned through a whole bunch of his own money and goodwill from friends and family, to put it lightly. But his dad, Guy, real name by the way, he watched multiple projects go essentially nowhere and had funded more than a few of them. So when Tim came back with yet another idea, he went, okay, here's £10,000 and that's the last one I'm funding. Little did he know though, that money became the seed funds. And the original structure was simple. Creators set a monthly price, subscribers paid it, and the platform keeps 20%. And I guess the creator walks away with 80%. Tim's original pitch wasn't necessarily focused on adult content, but the idea had been open.
I think, that's also one thing that's true. People don't know this, but OnlyFans used to be for like photography and stuff like that. It wasn't always for sex work. It's just that all the hoes came in and they just colonized it.
Anyone who could build a paying audience.
Hey, that's a fact, dog. That's a fact, dog. He ain't lying. Because I'm like, what is on? Like, when I heard about it, I'm like, what is that? That was all it was about. And the family, you're going to find, I don't know if he said it yet, the family owned business. Because his brother worked for him, his dad worked for him, everybody worked for him. They seen how the profits took off. And I hate to say anybody would say, okay, let's let them keep doing this.
a family operation in the early days, with Tim's brother Tom running the operations and their father Guy handling the finances. Guy, I guess, was just their guy and father. And that one group, I guess they figured out the model faster than anyone else, and that showed up in some serious numbers, because in 2018 the platform was gaining traction, but running headfirst into some structural problems. The payment processors that made it possible to, you know, actually collect the money from the subscribers weren't a big fan of the adult side of their business. And obviously,
I think that if you're a payment processor, you should not be allowed to decline payment for anything other than something that's illegal. I think it's ridiculous that you have payment processors that are acting like regulatory services, determining what people can and can't do inside of a market. The problem is that, like, if, for example, Verizon or like...
And honestly, that's sort of like where we're headed and where we already are. I mean, they're talking about it now. But that's sort of like the mark of the beast also, because they're giving you access to something, and if they don't want you to have it, they won't give you access. They won't give you access.
Not Verizon, Visa was okay with it and MasterCard wasn't, it would be okay because there would be a free market. But when all of the processors effectively act as a cartel, then I think they should be treated like one. I think they need to be regulated. They need to regulate the fuck out of them. That's what I think. It's ridiculous.
Actually, you know, no payment processing means no business. Full stop. So Tim sold it. And the buyer was someone that almost nobody had heard of, and nobody would really hear of him for many years to come. His name was Leonid Ravinsky, who was born in Odessa, Ukraine in 1982. His family relocated to Chicago while he was still a kid, and he studied economics at Northwestern University and graduated in 2002. And from that point forward, he essentially built an entire career at, you know, scaling internet companies while keeping his name almost completely out of circulation. And even after he became the owner of one of the most talked about platforms on the planet, a single photo of him made the rounds. The same one over and over, which was attached to a LinkedIn profile that described him as the president at Leo.com. And, you know, completely left OF out of the picture. So essentially what we know about this guy is he lived in a $19 million waterfront property in Miami, but he gave 0 interviews. He made no public statements. He was, I guess, for every practical purpose, someone who did not want to be found. What he was always doing, however, was running his own things. And he'd been building internet businesses since he was a teen.
Imagine that. Imagine a guy that just likes making internet companies and running businesses, and he doesn't want to be a celebrity. He's like, okay, yeah, I just like doing this. This is the thing that I do. Yeah, fucking based, honestly.
Teenager. And by his mid-20s, he'd built and operated more than 10 websites, developing a deep understanding in, I guess, the mechanic.
Stayed in his lane, did what he liked to do, and didn't care what nobody thought. Sound like the life to me.
Of adult content or entertainment, and how that whole payment structure works, and how he can get that to work without getting banned. And since he understood how this industry worked, when he was presented with the chance to buy, he did so in 2018 for $30 million. And it's safe to say that was a phenomenal investment for him, because look
at the money.
That's stupid.
Gross revenue worldwide in billions of dollars. Look at that. Oh, wow. 0.27 to 2 to 4. Oh, man.
It was jumping.
It's a lot of fucking money.
Every year.
2019, the platform processed around $300 million in total payments and cleared around $7 million in profit. Then a year later, that gross payment volume hit $2.2 billion. Then by 2021, it was approaching $5 billion. And none of these numbers were being announced, but the company files with the UK as required. But Leonid had no interest in turning any of these numbers into some massive press release like many other entrepreneurs would. But then came
because the moment that he does that, that's because he knows. The thing is, like, he's not stupid, right?
That's right.
He knows that what he's doing is like something that a lot of people don't agree with. So the more that you talk, the more that people know about you. The more that people know about you, the more people are going to be mad about you. And it's like eventually there's a good, like, whenever you're doing something that you're really not supposed to be doing, you should keep your head down. Keep your head down. Just you know, don't fuck with the gravy train.
That moment that probably told you more about OF than anything else, because In August of 2021, the platform announced it was going to ban...
What sucks is I can't show this whole thing. I don't have enough memory on this laptop. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, so we can get a new laptop. Or either, at least get some more memory. But anyway, I'm going to try to get us about 15, 20 minutes in. It's a 30-minute. And I come back and I make a part 2 of OF Falling Apart.
Explicit content.
Oh, yeah,
now that was confusing to a lot of people because that kind of sounds like if Burger King announced it was going to stop selling burgers. Yeah. So why would they ever do that? Well, it makes sense a little bit later on when you get the full picture. But obviously, the response from the creators on their platform was immediate and very...
It was a hoe uprising, it was.
Clear. So 6 days later, the ban was reversed, and I guess that just showed the creators that they're the product. They actually have the power here of this platform. Because at the end of the day, the platform cannot exist without the creators.
Well, what really happened is that there were other alternatives. There's like Fansly, like there's like 4 or 5 other like places, Patreon, where people effectively sell content.
A lot of people I follow with a Patreon.
So like you don't really need OnlyFans. OnlyFans is simply it's a middleman.
Right.
So like it's easy to switch middlemen if you're not really providing any sort of like a value-added service.
And everybody just going over there because that's why all the
is not porn.
Right.
What do you think all those girls doing the cosplay Patreons? Were you fucking retard? You some kind of a retarded? Like what's wrong with you? You got a retarded brain? You need to unretarded yourself.
Unretarded yourself.
Just stop it. Just stop thinking. Just listen.
And the consumer's paying for it. So the reason all this actually matters becomes a whole lot more clear once you look at the numbers, though. Because in 2024, they processed $7.2 billion in total transactions between the fans and the creators. OF's cut of that was about 20%. And that came out to $1.41 billion in net revenue. That is a behemoth of a company. But after expenses... Pre-tax profit landed at $684 million. The entire operation ran by only 46 full-time employees.
46 guys.
People running it, bro.
Dude. I love it.
That is insane. And then Leonid's personal payouts.
Like, if this ain't the blueprint... Hold on.
Because in 2020...
If this ain't the blueprint for hustling, I don't know what is. I don't know what is, folks. Like, for real. I don't even know. I mean, like, honestly. If this ain't the blueprint for how you rack up a $1 billion company, and honestly, it probably will not be another one. It probably will not be another one. Because you gotta think about it. Yeah, they got their little porn in the Patreon and my link tree and all these other little middlemen, but it wasn't nothing like OnlyFans. OnlyFans was the most popular thing on the block, and it's over.
He collected around $284 million. In 2022, he collected $338 million. In 2023, he collected $472 million. And then in 2024, he collected $701 million.
Oh, man.
What in the fuck?
Which works out to about $2 million per day, every day, for the entire year. Which means the total earnings pulled between 2021 and 2024 were just under $1.8 billion from a company that he paid roughly $30 million for. That might be one of the best investments of all time.
Absolutely.
I mean, he did a great job managing it and growing the company. He did an amazing job.
Absolutely.
It's obvious he did.
At the same time, the distribution between the creators is wildly uneven because, you have this whole notion where a bunch of people would start an OF and make a whole bunch of money. But for the most part, that's not true. It's very similar to how Twitch is in a way. I don't really like drawing comparisons between Twitch and...
Because everybody think they're blowing up on Twitch.
Drawing comparisons between Twitch and OnlyFans? Yeah, you're right. Because in a lot of cases, you go to the ASMR section, it's the same thing. It's just the way it is. What do you think all these girls are dancing around here for? What do you think's on that link tree? There certainly ain't Christmas ornaments.
That's what I just
tell you
said.
that.
What's on the link tree?
A handful of top streamers on Twitch that make a crazy amount of money, and then the average streamer makes way below minimum wage.
I'm gonna tell you another thing they doing. They gaming. And they ain't wearing no clothes. So now the niggas, everybody want to go over there, watch them game while they butt ass naked.
Well, but I mean, that's just a whole nother topic for its own. But the thing is, by 2025, Leonid was looking for a buyer. And it didn't take long for him to realize, selling this platform is going to be a challenge. Yep. Because on paper, I mean, the investment is insane. Over $1.4 billion in annual net revenue, profit margins that most businesses would consider borderline unbelievable, roughly 380 million registered users, and fewer than 50 people on payroll. If you strip the context and handed someone the financial statements, they would assume they were looking at some sort of tech unicorn that had figured out everything. However, the context is the biggest problem here. Because a large portion of the institutional investors, the ones with the actual capital to do a deal at this scale, they operate under something called vice clauses, which are restrictions embedded in their agreements with their own backers that prevent them from putting money into certain categories.
This is like, there's all kinds of morality clauses and bullshit like this inside of business. It's very, very common. It's super annoying. I hate dealing with it. Everybody's a pussy.
Right. And I mean, these firms don't only use their own money. They have liquidity providers or people who invest money into them, and they operate as a hedge fund, and then they deploy other people's money with the end goal of, beating the S&P 500 in an annual return. And a lot of people just don't want their funds to go into, investing in these vice businesses.
This is what a lot of the people, just to add a little bit of context, this is what a lot of the people want to effectively add, like supporting Israel onto one of these lists. Like, just so you guys understand, because you see a lot of people talking about, divesting and stuff like that. This is tangential to that. It's inside of that same spectrum in that world.
Considers adult content, tobacco, gambling, and weapons. So regardless of the numbers, a lot of the most obvious buyers are essentially blocked from even writing the check. Then you have the operational risks, which are, Visa and MasterCard. They've already shown that they could, payment processing for adult platforms. And this is exactly what pushed OF towards its failed 2021 ban. And since the platform is almost entirely reliant on subscription revenue, it has to go through payment processors that take somewhere between 5 to 10% in fees on top of the 2 to 3% fees from the most regular, Visa and Master, which is far above the usual 2 to 3% that most regular businesses are charged from payment processors. So obviously that is a tax on their margins, and now they're dependent.
Which is unfair in my opinion, unless they can prove that these people, they're effectively getting squeezed.
Yep.
This is effectively a 1930s mafia deal that has just been turned into a $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
That's what's happened.
Pimping it home.
To payment processors. And not only that, but there's also a regulatory pressure. So the UK communications regulator, they hit with a £1.4 million fine in early 2025 for a weak age verification practice, which might not be the biggest deal for them financially, but it's a pretty clear sign of where this enforcement is going. And then you have that exit problem, because even if someone bought it, how do they eventually sell it? Taking it public through a stock market listing, that's essentially impossible under the current conditions. And there's also no obvious second buyer standing by, and the insane financials don't resolve the fact that this is an asset most people in finance don't really want to be publicly associated with. And I mean, if I was to guess, that might be one of the reasons why they tried to stop allowing adult content on their platform back in 2021, plus the whole payment processors problem. So the asking price of the platform started at about $8 billion, and no one was interested, despite their insanely high valuation. But the firm that eventually emerged as, I guess, the most serious buyer was Architect Capital, a San Francisco-based investment fund that got its start in 2020, providing credit to Latin American startups. And they had more recently become known for...
So they don't give a fuck, they're just gooners down there, I guess? Down there in Latin America, bro, they just OnlyFans. Oh wow, do we get a discount now?
Tendency towards complicated situations, because its founder James Sagan was one of the larger investors in Juul, a vaping and nicotine product that you guys are probably familiar with at this point. And honestly, that's just a whole nother video, because Juul completely took over the world like right before the pandemic, and it definitely did extremely well during the pandemic.
Who
and
didn't
then
take
it seems
over
like it
before
kind
the
of got like
pandemic? Right during
banned.
the
At least most of their
pandemic.
flavors got.
All right, we're gonna Candy here. We right back, y'all. We back.